Welcome to the House of Destiny. This session builds on the previous session, House of Character, for parents with children aged 0 to 9 years. During this session, we will be building a House of Destiny, focusing on youth and young people between the ages of 10 and 18 years. We're not building a House of Destiny for them. We are building them into a House of Destiny, shaping their destiny through sexuality, relationship, and life skills education principles. They need to become a House of Destiny. The answer for building a House of Destiny lies in the hands of the educators and in the hands of the young people themselves. A teenager's letter of desperation. Dear mother, I hate to write to you this way, but you've got to know. I know you think I have been seeing too much of Dave lately, and that you believe he's too old for me, and all that. But like I told you, we really love each other and want to be together all the time. He was really great when I told him I was having his baby, and he said that I should leave school and be with him, and he would look after both of us forever. So I won't be coming back home. We have found a flat, and though it's a bit damp, it's really cool, and I know we are going to be just fine. Dave's got a new job with more money, and that means I won't have to get a job, but I can stay at home and prepare for the baby. We are not living that far away, but I'm not going to give you the address, because you will only want to come after us and try and make me come home. But I promise that I will keep in touch, and when the baby is born, we will bring him to see you. Somehow, I'm just sure it's going to be a boy, and that's great, because Dave wants to teach him to play football. But a girl will be really cool too. So Mom, try not to worry. I'm in good hands, and I know Dave really loves me, and he will look after us both. I just want to say that I love you, and I'm sorry I've hurt you and Dad, but I hope that you can try to be happy for us. With much love, Debbie. P.S. Not a word of this is true. The fact is, I failed all my college exams, and I just wanted you to get things in perspective. This comes from my favorite stories about children by Selwyn Hughes. Shaping Destiny. Every adult, every child, every young person on the face of this earth has been born with a purpose, a destiny, and with special gifts and talents to achieve the destiny. Most people have a dream for their lives. Talk to any small child, no matter what their age, and they will tell you, one day I want to become a pilot, a dancer, an artist, I want to travel the world. Like the genetic code that describes your passion and abilities, your dream has been woven into your very being from birth. You are the only person with a dream quite like yours. In the same way, young people have a dream, a unique purpose, a destiny waiting to be fulfilled. If you look at the timeline of life from birth, and say a person lives to about the age of 90, the frightening thing is that more or less between the ages of 10 and 25, and even younger, young people are making choices, good and bad choices, that may impact them for the rest of their lives. For example, who will be my friends? Will they have a positive or negative influence on me? Will I drink? Will I choose drugs? Will I become sexually active? Will I give in to peer pressure? And obviously later in high school, what career must I choose? And after school, who will be my life partner? Life-changing decisions and choices. Particularly regarding sexual choices, parents, the teen years are the most sexually hazardous. Nothing has greater power to destroy dreams or to turn them into nightmares than misinformed, irresponsible, or unwise choices. Often, long-term consequences are not in the radar of our youth. Addiction to pornography, potentially fatal trips to chat rooms, Sexually transmitted diseases and pregnancy are amongst the most dangerous traps and tragedies waiting for them. Parents, you have to make sure that they know this. Your role is critical in alerting them to these dangers and assisting them to make responsible, informed choices, smart choices. You cannot afford to be naive. Your child's life depends on it. No one can take your place. You have a great influence and can be instrumental in them fulfilling their dreams and achieving their destiny. So choices do affect destinies. Your character will determine the way you live your life to a very large extent. So your smart or not so smart life will have an influence on your destiny. So to the theme of the program, namely smart choices equals smart character equals smart life, we are adding destiny. Smart choices equals smart character equals smart life equals a smart destiny. Once again confirming that teaching smart choices and shaping smart character is crucial for the final outcome of young people's destiny. The following thought-provoking statements by Frank Outlaw summarizes the aforementioned and are very important for young people to understand. Be careful of your thoughts, for your thoughts become your words. Be careful of your words, for your words become your actions, your choices. Be careful of your actions, your choices, for your actions become your habits. Be careful of your habits, for your habits become your character. Be careful of your character, for your character becomes your destiny. And I add, your destiny becomes your legacy. So what do we have in our hands to build the Destiny House? Remember, we bought the property, the ground, which is the parent transformation, change starting with us. We've got a plan, the children transformation, our character development and training. And then in the previous session, we spoke about the foundation, the sexual character building blocks, the needs, beliefs, knowledge, values, skills, and support. So now we're going to use destiny building blocks to build the walls of this house. And we are going to use the 7 P's, that's our cement, to put the bricks together for a strong house. The parents' love. Sexuality as a present, as a gift. It's positive, it's normal. Providing for a positive future. Protection against negative consequences. There's a special purpose, and our sexuality is private property. So we're going to work that into all our conversations with young people. The implementation guidelines are very important to put the Destiny House together. Communication is our door, with words and without words. Our keys, information, values and skills. Knowing, love, trust, our window. The authority, our authority is the roof. And we're using the paint, which is our anchor and our values in life. So I just quickly want to again give you an overview of the phases. So we spoke about the cornerstone years, baby phase, toddler phase, through the nursery school phase. The preparatory years, early primary school phase, pre-puberty phase, and the later primary school phase. And now the transitional years, puberty and the adolescent phase. This is our focus during this session. So what are the overview of tasks that need to be accomplished during this phase of young people's lives? Very important, now you can give more detailed discussion of all the themes taught during the previous sessions to serve as reinforcement. So you're again going to talk about the reproductive systems and the functions, menstruation, erection, wet dreams. You're going to talk about conception, pregnancy, and the birth process. You're going to talk about relationships, romance, sexual attraction, and dating. Talking about sexual matters, shaping sexual attitudes and beliefs, guiding them to make informed, smart choices and to display responsible behavior is crucial during this phase. This will be the emphasis during this session. So what is your role as a parent then? The Destiny Builders, very important themes will be the focus of this session. So you need to utilize teachable moments, initiate discussion, ask and answer questions. Before we continue, I just want to mention to you, educators, parents, please don't assume that children will have sex anyway. This is simply not true. Have relaxed and regular conversations regarding sexual matters during this phase. These discussions will occur naturally if you are spending time cultivating a relationship with your child. It is important that discussions should always be relevant to their lives. What does this mean for my life? How can I apply this to my life? How will it affect me now? How will it affect me in future? During your conversations, it is a good time to reinforce sex as a beautiful gift to be appreciated, cherished, and protected. The truth is that most kids will respond very well if parents take the time to listen and talk patiently with them and give them good reasons, physical, emotional, spiritual, social, and mental, to refrain from teen experimentation and sexual activity. Building a positive vision for their future is imperative. Your attitude, your example is vital. Continuously build on and incorporate all the principles from the previous sessions. So the building of the Destiny House with important destiny building bricks is the main theme for this session. However, it's important to point out factors that can delay, hamper, or even destroy dreams. I say bust their dreams. We can call them destiny or dream busters. Remember that when you discuss the dangers, the consequences, the destiny busters of premature sexual activity, you are not overprotecting your child. The opposite is true. If you do not give them the information, you are actually placing them at risk. Negative consequences should form part of your discussions, but should not be used as scare tactics. Unfortunately, most adults use this strategy. It is ineffective in the long term. Once again, conversations should be related and relevant to their lives. Ask questions like, why would you want to be sexually active? Or why would somebody else want to be sexually active? Do you understand the risk? Do you think sex will make you feel better, popular, etc.? Practical and innovative creative activities and demonstrations to teach youth about the Destiny Busters, the Destiny Builders, about a smart life are presented and available in the Smart Life youth programs, as well as the Extreme Heart DVDs and programs. So you can find much more information there. The following section will provide additional information and knowledge that can be utilized by educators, by parents. So let's look at a few Destiny Busters. We'll start off by mentioning reasons for youth sexual experimentation. Physical reasons. Early puberty, causing teenagers to be children in grown-up bodies. Sex hormones cause normal sexual feelings. There could be environmental reasons, growing up in a world where wrong is right, and teenagers are morally confused. There's an absence of positive role models. Parents and significant others are often absent. Peer pressure. Poverty causes a lack of opportunities for healthy activities and like sport. The media's role. Teenagers are erotically overwhelmed. Sex is the basic selling point for almost anything, and the impression is given that everybody's doing it, and that there are very few negative consequences. The emotional reasons. Many teenagers experience touch hunger and love famine at home. They have sex in the hope that it will fulfill that void. The lack of love in a relationship leads to emphasis on performance and having no regard for the other person's feelings. The satisfaction is purely on a physical level. Relational reasons. Many teenagers are not guided towards fostering meaningful relationships and friendships. They turn to sex because they hope that it will be the answer to their need for communication and intimacy. The psychological reasons, they believe that having sex is the hip, the modern thing to do, and they are pressurized into doing the in thing. Everyone is doing it. Why shouldn't we? During my research, the following reasons were given by teachers, by young people themselves, the top reasons. I just want to mention them to you through years of research. The yes reasons why young people say yes to sexual experimentation. I call them the destiny busters. Peer pressure, the media, alcohol and drugs, curiosity. They want to experiment for pleasure. They're ignorant, they haven't got the knowledge. Maybe they're lonely, they want to get acceptance. They have low self-esteem and definitely, obviously, poverty. These consequences represent the baggage that youth are burdened with and more than likely will carry with them from one relationship to the next due to ignorance or maybe even our silence. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the physical consequences, the physical baggage that they carry with them, which is a very strong possibility. Pregnancy is a life-changing event. When teenage children have babies, the responsibility of parenthood makes it very difficult, sometimes impossible for their dreams to come true. It impacts the life of the father, the mother, the baby, and both of the families. Let's look at abortion. Although there are different options for a pregnant teenager to consider, such as adoption, foster care, etc., many teens turn to abortion, often with stressing emotional consequences, sadness and regret, depression, loss of self-worth and guilt. Sometimes right away, but sometimes it happens later. Guys too can suffer from the emotional aftershocks of abortion of a pregnant teenager. Abortion is not a quick fix. Sexually transmitted infections. Many parents and teenagers are unaware of the deadly tidal wave of sexually transmitted infections threatening our youth. There are now multiple epidemics of at least 25 sexually transmitted diseases, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Some experts say that the number rises to 50, and when the various strains of virus groups are included, such as HIV, these can rob young people of their health and even their life. Condoms can reduce, but do not eliminate all the physical risks. Research indicates that many young people do not practice consistent and correct use of condoms. Studies show that the longer a teenager stays in a relationship, the less likely they are to use condoms. Condoms have lulled young people into complacency. It's like putting a band-aid on a very deep-lying problem, treating the symptoms. Parents should get information about sexually transmitted infections and warn their children about the dangers. Let's look at the emotional consequences, at the emotional baggage. For human beings, of course, sex is about much more than the body. It's the emotional or psychological dimension of sex that makes it distinctly human. The whole person, mind, body, and feelings is involved. That's why sexual intimacy has potentially powerful emotional consequences. But in the discussions of teen sex, much is said about the dangers of pregnancy and disease, but far less about the emotional hazards, which can be very damaging, even crippling. For one thing, most of us has never heard this aspect of sex discussed. Our parents didn't talk to us about it. The media doesn't depict the emotional consequences of sex. Indeed, television and the movies typically depict sex as consequence-free. Many adults are at a loss for words or reduced to vague general remarks such as, "You're too young, you're not ready, you're not mature enough." When discussing emotional results, many teens say they wish they had waited. Fear is another emotional consequence, fear of pregnancy and disease. For many young people who have become sexually active, the intense fear of pregnancy or getting a sexually transmitted infection or disease is a major emotional stress. Both guys and girls can suffer sharp regret following a sexual relationship, but girls are usually more vulnerable. Even when there are new rules about sex, as in hooking up, a practice increasingly common on college campuses and spreading to younger ages, that explicitly permits sexual interaction from kissing to intercourse, even without affection and with someone you hardly know. Girls typically end up more vulnerable and regret, often hoping after the sexual contact that the guy will call. Sometimes the regret goes in the opposite direction. They feel trapped after the relationship turns sexual. There could be guilt and shame. Guilt is a special form of regret. Girls are more likely than guys to report guilt about a first sexual experience. It's even greater if it was under the influence of drugs or alcohol, or if their first intercourse occurred with a casual partner. There could be shaken trust. Any person exposing their private parts, physically or emotionally, is actually saying, I trust you. If this ends in a bad way, if the person leaves them for someone else or just breaks up or talks about them behind their back, the walk of shame, they will feel used or betrayed, resulting in loss of trust that can be very painful. A college student says, I really loved her, but after we had sex and broke up, it was the most painful time of my life. I now mostly have one-night stands. I'm afraid of falling in love. Loss of self-esteem and self-respect. Loss of self-esteem can be the result after a sexually transmitted disease is diagnosed. Imagine being worried about telling a life partner of warts or other symptoms. On both sides of dehumanized sex, there is a loss of dignity and self-worth. A college guy confided, you feel pretty bad when you get drunk at a party and have sex with some girl, and then the next morning you can't even remember who she was. Oral sex has been shown to really damage self-esteem and self-respect, even though surveys indicate that many young people today are having oral sex and don't consider it a big deal. But one teen remarked, don't do this. Please don't do this. You will lose all your self-respect. Things will get worse for you, much worse. Depression. Depression becomes more common in the teen years, we know that, but recent research shows it's not an automatic consequence of being a teenager. Teens who abstain from risky behavior such as sex, drugs and drinking are the least likely to get depressed. Dr. Meg Meeker refers to depression and sex as the twin epidemics. She indicates that studies found that kids who are depressed gravitate towards sex, since sex acts as a drug, numbing a hurt, filling a void, keeping the mind altered, even if only for a moment. But then, when involved in sexual activity, it may lead to depression. Sexually active girls are 3 times more likely to get depressed, and boys twice more likely to suffer from depression. Let's just for a minute look at the loss and bereavement cycle. When any person experiences any loss or a hurtful event, they would normally go through the stages of the grieving process: anger, sadness, depression, and eventually acceptance. If they do not go through the grieving process, depression can be the result. The refusal to grieve is like peeling an onion. So when a girl and a guy break up, there's incredible sadness. The girl might feel guilty and confused, but she does not allow herself to feel these emotions, so she pushes them deep down, and then it festers as depression. The guy's outer layer is denial, but of course, he wants to act macho and not show his emotions. He does not want to admit that he has a problem, or any hurt, or any loss. Beneath this layer can be bitterness and anger and can lead to depression. At the center of the onion of depression is this hole. Disappointment. The expectation that sex will fill their emptiness and their loneliness, their need for belonging, for love, for acceptance, can lead to great disappointment. If this does not happen, they feel empty, they feel frustrated, disappointed, and even depressed. They think there is something wrong, not with the sex itself, but with themselves. In some cases, depression leads to the tragedy of suicide. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for 15 to 24-year-olds. One study revealed that nearly 1 in 5 teens say they have seriously considered suicide in the past year. So what about the social consequences, the social baggage? I'm just going to mention a few. There could be damaged or ruined relationships. Sex can turn a good relationship bad. So other dimensions of the relationship soon stop developing because the negative emotions enter the picture and eventually poison the relationship. Relationships with parents. Sex can negatively affect relationships with people other than the person you are sexually involved with. Most parents say they do not want their teenagers to engage in sexual activity. And by going against that standard, teens may create conflict or distance in family relationships. What about the mental, intellectual, scholastic consequences? Can affect their studies. Why? Because they could find it difficult to concentrate because of all the emotional baggage. They lose interest, their performance decreases and their marks go down, and it can lead to school dropout. Just remember, teenagers who are absorbed in an intense relationship are turning inward at the very time in their lives that they should be reaching out. And they can miss wonderful opportunities of forming new friendships, joining clubs and teams, developing their interests, their hobbies and skills, and they may never develop that full potential. What about the spiritual consequences? Guilt, shame, regret can be felt because they did not stick to their beliefs, their values and convictions, often affecting them at their core, their inner being. So I want to talk about the corruption of character. When we treat others as sexual objects to be used for our selfish pleasure, we not only lose self-respect, we change our character, the kind of person we are becoming. Every choice we make in life affects our character, for good or for ill. Good choices will strengthen our character. Bad choices deform our character. Sex can also corrupt character by leading people to lie to get sex. Common lies are, I love you, or I've never had a sexually transmitted infection. Even when teens acknowledge that they are choosing to have casual sex, they making the choice, they don't understand how these hookups may affect their future long-term relationships. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that teens are not emotionally ready for the intimacy of sex. They need to realize how important it is that they don't rush into things for which they are not ready. I just want to mention that many young people choose not to engage in sexual activity, but they involve themselves in an endless cycle of dating, of short-lived and break-up relationships. They get on the dating bus, they fall in love, fall out of love, and then just move to the next relationship. Even though they avoid the physical consequences, this pattern of behavior may cause similar emotional, social, and mental and spiritual consequences. This phenomenon is played out in many teen relationships and can also affect their dreams and destinies. So a smart choice for teens would be to go out in groups and have positive fun while they are young, especially when they are still at school. Ladies and gentlemen, youth sexual relationships may result not only in serious physical consequences, but also devastating emotional, social, spiritual, and mental consequences. Unnecessary baggage that may hamper, delay, and even destroy their dreams and destiny. Let's guide them to avoid the destiny busters, and let's focus on the destiny builders, guiding them to make smart choices for a smart life and a smart destiny. So the destiny builders are going to be addressed during the following section and should form an integral part of your sexuality education, always within the context of the principles and the broader purpose of the program, the ABCD, E, the 7 Ps, etc., that we've been indicating during the previous sessions. Destiny builders include, which I'm going to discuss now, the reasons why young people say no to sex, the advantages of this very smart choice, the components of a smart lifestyle, and we'll also talk about healing. So let's just look at the reasons that were given to me why young people say no to sex. I call them the destiny builders. Because they have morals and values, their religion, because of their parents' influence, they have good character, they have good skills, good support, they have high self-esteem, they have the knowledge, they want to preserve their virginity, and they fear HIV or they fear pregnancy. When we look at delaying or abstaining from sexual activity, it not only has physical benefits, but also emotional, mental, social, and spiritual benefits. And it will result in true freedom for young people. I'm just going to mention some of the benefits. I'm just going to give you a list. Physical, freedom, no HIV and AIDS or any other sexually transmitted infections, no teenage pregnancy. Socially, they'll have high self-esteem. There won't be any communication breakdown. They will be able to still have this friendship with family and friends. They don't have to compare themselves to anybody else. There's no confusion between sex and love. No loss of trust. Sex will not control the relationship. Emotionally, no hurt, guilt, shame, fear, depression, disappointment, regret, anger, insecurity, rejection, or feeling cheap or used or violated or feeling broken, lonely, unloved, feeling stupid or dirty. Freedom from all the emotional baggage. Mentally, they will be able to concentrate. Their performance will not be affected. Their studies won't be affected. They won't have to drop out of school, and their dreams can be fulfilled. Spiritually, no shame, no guilt. They don't have to withdraw from anything, and their spiritual growth will not be hampered. So what have I just done? I've taken all the negative baggage, the emotional, spiritual, mental, physical baggage that we spoke about previously, and I've turned it around and made it a very positive approach to show you that there are many, many benefits when young people refrain from sexual involvement. And the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. It provides real, true freedom from all that baggage. So we're going to talk about destiny building bricks for a smart lifestyle. It's interesting, when I discuss the consequences and the benefits with young people, I always get the same question. How far can I go? Or how far is too far? What does this question mean? It implies that they don't know exactly what is meant by the term abstinence. Or the question could mean, what can I get away with? Youth are always pushing the boundaries. They like living on the edge. Can we just touch a little? Can I just have one little drink? Can I just try this drug once? Can I just watch this magazine? Just this once. So I explain the sexual progression by comparing it to diving from a diving board. When you become physically involved with someone, it's like moving up the steps of a diving board. Every step is exposing you to greater sexual risk. Every physical boundary that is overstepped leaves you less in control of the activity. Each boundary crossed makes you sexually more vulnerable. And when sexual passions reach a certain level, you may lose control. holding hands, hugging, kissing, deep kissing, French kissing, light petting, heavy petting, sexual intercourse. With younger children, I explain by means of a new car or a smashed up car. If you want to buy a car, which one would you choose? So, we're going to talk about a smart lifestyle. And it's important for them to decide beforehand where they're going to draw the line. Where's their boundary? Once you go up the steps of the ladder, it might be too late. So the right question is not to see what I can get away with, but what choices can I make to have a smart life and a smart destiny? Smart choices for my mind, my ears. Protecting my mind via my ears. My mind and my eyes. Protecting my mind via my eyes. My ears. Protecting my mind via my ears, as in listening to music. My mouth, my nose, controlling what goes into my mouth. For example, alcohol and drugs, or snorting drugs. My tongue, checking my speech. Do I use manipulation? Emotions, my heart. Do I guard my heart? My guts, my stomach. Paying attention to my early warning signs, to my feelings. I'm going to explain that to you later in the next session. Touch, establishing boundaries. My body, dressing responsibly and modestly. My legs and my feet. Frequenting safe, positive, uplifting social environments. So I'm just going to discuss that a little bit with you. I'm just going to briefly explain what I mean by each one. Smart choices for my mind, my ears. Let's look at chat rooms. The number of internet chat rooms pose crippling and deadly risks for especially preteen and teenage girls. Girls look to find their need for understanding relationships met in a very risky cyber world chat room. Unless supervised, chat rooms can expose teens to values different from your own. Educate them regarding the dangers. They must not use their real names, real address, personal contact information, email address. Not define their routine for them, what school they go to, the route they take to school. Never meet anyone personally that they have only met in a chat room. Children must be warned about sexual predators on the internet. Smart choices for my mind and my eyes. All forms of media, DVDs, television, movies, magazines, books. The most distortion about sex told in the media is found in pornography, a very high risk, especially to boys. Sexual promiscuity and no consequence sex is portrayed. The viewing of pornography is very dangerous. These avenues of sexual excitement do not require them to develop the art and the skills of interpersonal relationships, intimacy, and emotional vulnerability needed for healthy long-term relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, we should be outraged by a multi-billion-dollar porn industry that's invading the internet and the media. It's a business that preys on young people and profits off the addiction from its users. Countless young people are being led down a path of devastation and destruction. Let's just look at the effect of pornography on young people. It destroys a child's innocence. It damages the child emotionally and usually causes behavioral problems because it's a form of sexual abuse. It disturbs the balance in the child's development. It causes feelings of guilt. It causes children to be more permissive and liberal in their view of sexual behavior. Children copy what they see in the media. It causes early sexual activity amongst teenagers. It destroys respect for the human. Mostly female, but also male. It destroys the value of privacy. It dehumanizes sex. The victims, women, children, but increasingly more males as well, are seen as sex objects. Pornography is addictive. In his best-selling book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, Sean Covey writes of pornography's corrosive effects on the conscience. Like any other addiction, pornography sneaks up on you. It reminds me of a story I once read about frogs. If you put a frog in boiling water, it'll immediately jump out. But if you put it in lukewarm water, the frog will get cooked before it has a chance to jump out. Pornography is an addiction, and there's different phases during this addiction process. So, number one, addiction. Person keeps on coming back to it. It becomes a regular part of their life. They are hooked. I just want you to listen to this. The visual stimulation of pornography triggers a sexual response from adrenaline and testosterone that's more addictive than heroin or cocaine. The material burns into the brain through repetitive viewing. Each time the sexual material is revisited, your body takes a hit. The second phase, escalation. Start looking for more graphic porn. That which disgusted earlier no longer does. The next phase is desensitization, becoming numb to the images. Even the most graphic images do not excite anymore. Acting out sexually, some move from paper to the real world. Violence, prostitutes. Seek professional help for sexual addiction. I think it's important just to speak about masturbation a little bit because it becomes such an issue when we're working with young people. And there's two viewpoints. Some are totally opposed and will say it's very, very bad versus it's harmless. It's a harmless way of releasing sexual pressure. It's a very sensitive issue. But for young people, the important thing is not to make them feel guilty or ashamed. Always focus on the goodness of sexuality. A moralistic, judgmental approach does not work with young people. But masturbation could be the activity that draws them back into pornography. Help them to make smart choices, channeling their energy into positive, meaningful activities and being creatively busy. Practicing thought control, viewing the media critically, using modern technology wisely, filtering negative messages, and practicing a smart lifestyle. Number 3, smart choices for your ears. A teenager's worldview, his value system, and his attitude towards human dignity will determine the role music plays in his life. If he chooses to listen to music that degrades rather than dignifies men and women, it'll be an indication of his true worldview and which influences he wants to shape his future actions. You need to help children sort through what they watch and listen to. Recognize the false and distorted messages that are being communicated and put appropriate filters in place. Smart choices for the mouth, for the nose. It is crucial to make teens aware of the damaging influence alcohol and drugs can have, particularly on sexual behavior. These drugs lower the resistance of a person's conscience and it erodes the controls that a person will normally place on their sexual impulses in managing their sex drive. If alcohol and drugs are allowed to impair their judgment, it can change, sacrifice, destroy their futures within minutes, even seconds. Number 5, smart choices for my tongue. Not using persuasive arguments and manipulation to get what they want physically. This is important for both sexes. Showing respect for the opposite sex is crucial. To realize that having many girlfriends, boyfriends does not give value or status. They are special, valuable, and worthy the way they are. They need to find fulfillment and satisfaction in other healthy ways. A young man passes his biggest test in life and shows strength and wisdom by saying, "I'm not ready for sex yet. I am not ready for all that comes with it." The most powerful men in the world are the ones who have control of themselves and their sex drive. If it controls you, you lose. Number 6, smart choices for the emotions, my heart. Girls should understand that sex will never bring them the love and acceptance they want. They show amazing grace and beauty when they do not flirt or run after or throw themselves at guys or give their body for that which they think is love. Young women pass their biggest test when they can control their emotions and not let their emotions control them. The power of a woman is her ability to manage her emotions, to guard her heart. Number 7, smart choices for touch. Mutual respect, respecting people's privacy and not intruding upon them is a vital destiny builder. The establishment of physical boundaries for opposite sex relationships is crucial. Many teenagers do not make a conscious decision to have sex, but often they allow themselves to be influenced by the moment and then they adjust their boundary accordingly. They must make a conscious decision to draw boundaries. Smart choices for my stomach, my tummy, my gut. Young people should be taught to be aware of their feelings, and especially in their gut. We call it early warning signs, to recognize that they are now in an unsafe situation or that they are about to compromise their standards, their values, and stop or get out of there. Number 9, smart choices for my body. Clothes communicate. Most girls dress according to fashion without thinking about it. But whether a girl realizes it or not, she's communicating to others with her clothes. She's secure or insecure, in need of attention, fearful of any attention, seductive, deceptive, she's guarded or loose, feminine or manly, naive or maybe totally unaware. Part of honoring and respecting the opposite sex is to dress responsibly and modestly. A girl can still dress stylish while establishing some restraints upon the way she wears her clothes. The girl covering her body represents something valuable that guys want to someday possess and hold forever. When a girl dresses with grace and dignity, she gains the right attention from the right kind of guy. If a woman is secure in herself, she will not feel the need to keep creating opportunities to excite sensual passion in guys. A secure guy, not a body hunter, is attracted to the strength of a girl who sets her boundaries and does not cave into peer pressure. Smart choices for my feet and legs. Going out in groups and having fun. Going out on group dates. Not going to places where they will be alone with someone, placing themselves in compromising situations. Avoiding unsafe social environments like clubs, like shebeens, etc., where they could find themselves in unsafe situations. Parents, you need to be involved in your teenager's life. You need to know not only what kind of television programs, movies they are looking at, or the music they're listening to, but also what is being viewed at their friends' homes. Who are their friends? Know their friends' parents. Most movies, music and entertainment doesn't reflect the values and character traits that most parents want modeled for their teenagers. Your ultimate goal is not to control them, but rather to train them to think for themselves and to make wise, smart choices for themselves. The more children and young people are taught from their early years to make smart choices, the easier it will be for them to stay on the right course. Healing is also a destiny building block. Often, after young people have been exposed to this information, to the correct facts, the truth, they have questions such as, I've already blown it. I've messed up. What now? Am I going to have a dream relationship? Can I have a smart life? A smart destiny? It is vital to explain that often unwise, unsmart choices are made out of ignorance. Encourage and assure them that new beginnings are available to everyone. Often they are angry at themselves or someone else that has forced or coerced them into sex. Forgiveness brings healing and wholeness. Forgive others and ask others forgiveness if they feel they need to, and forgive themselves. Seek professional help if needed. Help your child write a personal vision statement. A vision statement can have a very strong influence and will be a guiding force in their lives. You will find examples of how to teach destiny values, practical ways in your workbook. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do we have in our hands? The parent transformation was the ground, the property. The children transformation was our plan. The sexual character building blocks were our foundation. The destiny building bricks were our walls. The character, values and visions formed our cement. The implementation guidelines, very important, using communication, our door. Using information, values and skills, our keys. Parents knowing, love, trust, our window. The parent's authority, the roof. And then to paint it with your core beliefs, with your anchor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's no longer put a band-aid on deep-lying problems, treating the symptoms and not the causes, ignoring the root of the problem. Let's stand together to make a difference in the lives of young people by providing the facts, the truth. Let's guide them to make smart choices for a smart character, for a smart life, for a smart destiny, so that they can fulfill their destinies. Let's give them a vision and hope for an amazing, awesome, positive future. Golden threads weaved into a strong destiny tapestry, providing for relationship and sexual health, wellness and wholeness, and a protective covering against sexual brokenness. So I just want to tell you the story about a very well-known Chinese bamboo tree. After the seed for this amazing tree is planted, you see nothing for 4 years. All that can be seen is a tiny shoot coming out of a bulb. During those four years, all the growth is underground in a massive fibrous root structure that spreads deep and wide in the earth. In the 5th year, however, the Chinese bamboo tree grows up to an astonishing height of 80 feet. This is what will happen if the principles in this program are put to work in your children's lives. Initially, although change will not be visible on the outside, growth and development is taking place on the inside. Eventually, change will be evident and noticeable on the outside through your children's attitudes, choices, and their behavior. I want to encourage you. Never give up. Keep on keeping on, and you will see the good fruit in their lives.